Okay, everyone, here we are again on training video number 3. Now, what we're going to concentrate on today is our different type of approaches and how to handle the leads coming in from those, okay? So today, our first one is going to be about the direct approach, okay? So let's take a look at these ads we have up, okay? It's probably important to take a look at them. So all it's saying here is work from home, finance, business, and get involved in the lucrative industry of buying and selling debt. Learn how to purchase debt for pennies on the dollar and sell it for a profit. Very easy to maintain, training provided, financing available, present long-term passive investment vehicles to take a look at here. So what are we doing here? We are now taking the direct approach because we are buying and selling debt ourselves. And these are the people that we're going to be selling our debts to because as we said before in our borrower leads, and we're going to show you how to get borrower leads and how to deal with them, but we've already had on training video 1, how to deal with them. We're going to get these borrowers to sign contracts with our investors, but our investors come from right here, these ads, okay? So these ads right here, direct approach, that's what we're dealing with here today. Now, we took a look at this ad. Let's take a look at this ad. It says high return debt contracts for sale. So yes, when we do get a contract and we're looking to sell it, we do advertise it. So here it is. It states all these really, really neat things that you guys can read through yourself, okay? And it explains on how large the returns can be. But one thing I'm going to bring your attention to is this deal is 100% guaranteed thanks to a lender guarantee assurance fund. So we've placed the lender guaranteed assurance fund video in the description in order for you to take a look at that. But really what it says here is if the debt goes delinquent, 3 missed payments in a row, we will replace this contract free of charge with one of our equal or greater value contracts, okay? So you see, what happens here is what you're saying to them is that it's pretty much guaranteed because if you put $20 a month and any of your debts go delinquent, it gets replaced, all right? So keep in mind, in this video, we explain exactly how we can actually do that. So make sure you look at the video in the description. Now, let's go back here, and we've taken a look at both of our type of leads. So what we're going to do, we've taken a look at both of our types of ads in order to produce leads, again, in order to sell our debt to. So what we're going to do here is we're going to provide you with a script to handle this category of leads, okay? So what we need to do now is we're going to get you to the script, and we have provided recordings in this video. So we've provided 2 or 3 recordings in this video. And keep in mind, if you need more recordings to listen to, and these are live recordings of us talking to these people, the leads who came in off of these ads, okay? Now, keep in mind, guys, when you're chatting with these people and these type of leads, this direct approach, the first thing you want to explain to them is ask them, are you aware that the banks are selling debt without telling the general public? And now you see what happens is most of them are going to go, oh, no, I didn't know that. Or yes, they did know. So you see the premise that we make our money on and that they have to understand is that if the bank sold the debt, right, well, that means they're no longer an affected party and they can no longer sue, which is very interesting. So you see, what happens is that we're asking as private lenders and together with the borrower, we'd be asking for proof of ownership of the debt. And you see, if they cannot prove they own the debt, that is a big problem. But sir, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an information package on this. So guys, keep in mind the information package because you'll get their email, and it's this email right here. And it's the same one I believe a lot of you have received. But this is the email right here that we send them. So if we can get out as many emails as these to individuals coming off of these ads, well, guess what? We're going to be selling our debt contracts that we create they'd be in here, right? Once we get some borrower leads in here. These are the contracts that we sign with them, and we sell them to the investors. And of course, where do the investor sheet, how does it get populated, is from these type of ads. Okay, so again, we're going to provide you with a script, and we're going to provide you with 2 or 3 recordings on this video. In the description, we will include more recordings as we go along. And again, these are real live recordings with the lead. So these are really helpful together with the script. You guys are going to learn this, and you're going to have a great time doing it. So you guys have a great day, and take a look at what we have here for you with the script and the recordings. Okay, guys, so we are going to go into the script here for the direct approach. So how we're going to go about that is we just put into an email, and we're going to read it here with you. And here it is, direct approach script, buy and sell debt business opportunity. So of course, hi, you called regarding the finance business for sale and learn how to buy and sell debt advertisement. Of course, you wait for the response. And if they say yes, okay, great. I will be sending you an informational package at the end of this conversation, but let's get into a quick conversation on the main premise you need to understand in order to buy and sell debt for profit. Do you have any experience in the finance industry? And here, of course, we just have a little conversation if they're going to say yes or no. And we work it back into, well, now keep in mind, you do not need experience because we provide training videos that will teach you everything you need to know. But the reason I ask is just so I know where to start with the explanation. In order to really understand what we are doing, you must understand that the banks are selling debt without informing the borrowers. Are you aware the banks are selling the general public's debts without informing them? Of course, you wait for a response, and this is some really good conversation that can happen from here. But then, of course, you work it back into, well, what the banks do is once you sign the loan contract, they take it and sell it to the world market without telling you via a process called securitization. Securitization is just a fancy word for when the banks sell debt to the world market. Here is an example. Let's say you go to the bank and sign a loan contract with them. If the bank sells the debt, they received payment. Now, let's say 3 months later, you win the lottery and you rush into the bank and pay out the loan without asking for proof of ownership of the debt. You see, then the bank just got paid twice. This happens much more than you can imagine. You see, if you knew how to complete the transaction correctly, you would have asked for proof of ownership of the debt before handing over the funds. The rules of Canadian court states, verifiable proof you are still the rightful owner of the debt is a sworn affidavit by a chartered accountant stating they have looked into the ledgers and it still appears on the ledgers. Therefore, it was not sold. So it is a very reasonable request due to the fact that the bank has many chartered accountants working for them. Here's an example to illustrate the importance of asking for proof of ownership of the debt. If you were going to buy a car from me and you asked me for proof of ownership of the car before you gave me the money, and I said, well, I don't have the proof of ownership on me right now, but give me the money anyway, you would say absolutely not. The same premise holds true in the finance industry. Debts are assets that can be bought and sold. Therefore, we need to make sure they still own the debt before we hand over our money to the wrong entity. So as private lenders, together with the borrower, we are expected to ask for proof of ownership of the debt. Why? Because they could have sold it. Just to give you a brief history, prior to 2008, private lenders never asked the banks to prove anything. But after the 2008 crash, the banks admittedly stated the reason the world financial crash happened was because they were selling debt irresponsibly to the world market. They even made a Hollywood movie called The Big Short about it. So By 2011, many private lenders started asking the banks for proof of ownership of the debt. And since 2013, none of the major banks can prove they are still the rightful owners of any debt we requested them to prove. Understanding this simple concept that the banks sell debt without informing anyone is the cornerstone of buying debts pennies on the dollar to sell them for profit. Here is an example of one we just did. We purchased a $20,000 debt for $2,500 and sold it for $10K within 3 weeks. Therefore, we made $7,500, and the investor we sold it to was very happy due to the fact that they bought a $20,000 debt for $10K, which will pay out $27,000 in 3 years. So they made their $10K into $27,000 in 3 years, which is an amazing return. I should also mention we have an assurance fund we set up to guarantee your debt contract investments. If you pay $20 per month, if your debt contract goes delinquent, and we define delinquent as 3 missed payments, we will replace the delinquent contract with a current up-to-date contract, including the 3 missed payments. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them right now. If not, I will send you out the information package, and once you look at it, I can answer all your questions. What is your email address so I can send you the information package? Okay, guys, so that is the script. And of course, it's going to be more natural as you go along and you have another person on the line, but that is the script right here. And if you guys can understand this right here, what's going to happen is you're going to be sending out a lot of these information packages, right? And the more information packages, and of course, we're going to go back to the fact that our investors are going to be populated here. Our investor sheets being populated here because of these type of ads that we're putting out, all of them. But today we're talking about direct approach. And of course, we're going to be showing you how the Bora leads come about and how we fill and populate this one, because of course, this database is, we're going to take the contracts from here, sell them to the individuals from here that we ended up chatting with from here. And of course, we're talking about today, the direct approach script, buy and sell debt, business opportunity, how to sell it to individuals and how to field those calls. So the next thing we have here for you guys is a whole load of live recordings of myself speaking to individuals on the buy and sell debt business opportunity. So guys, take a look, go through and take a listen to them.
Hello.
Oh, hi there, Jason. How you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. How's it going?
Good, thanks. Yeah, my name's Kevin. You actually responded to a Kijiji ad regarding a finance business, work from home, that type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Have you been in finance before?
No, I haven't been in finance before. So is this the one that's related to the buying of debt and selling debt?
That's right, buying and selling debt. Exactly. Were you aware that the banks are selling the debt without informing the Canadian public?
No, I wasn't aware of that. No.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting stuff, Because at the end of it, a lot of people who believe that, let's say, they owe the Royal Bank money, they don't owe the Royal Bank money because the Royal Bank or any other bank has sold their debt, right? Now, the thing is that there's a lot of people these days that the banks have, at 35% rate of return interest rates and that type of thing, right? So, yeah. Debt is a real problem these days. I don't know how your debt situation is. Mine's okay, to be honest with you, but there was a time in my life that it was a problem. And these days, there's just, you can't throw a rock in any general direction without without hitting somebody who's in debt, right? So, I mean, it's a type of industry that is broadening and expanding pretty much every day, right? In dealing with that. So with that said, what we do is we offer a service to the Canadian people, reducing their debt by 25% without it affecting their credit. And the only way that you can do that is by asking the bank for proof of ownership of the debt, right? Because you see, if the bank sold the debt, let's say 4 days later, they sold the debt. So somebody came in and signed the contract, and 4 days later they sell the debt. Now keep in mind, let's say the Boer wins the lottery and he comes in and pays the bank $20,000, pays off his loan. Now you see, when the Canadian doesn't do the transaction correctly, they're supposed to ask for proof of ownership of the debt. But if the bank sold the debt and you gave them the money also because you won the lottery or whatever, that means the bank just got paid twice, right? So what we do now is, as private lenders, we get to go and ask the bank for proof of ownership of the debt because we don't want to pay them twice, right? And before you know it, the bank is having a really hard time proving they own the debt because I don't know if you've ever heard of securitization. Have you ever heard the term securitization?
No, I haven't.
No? Oh, okay. Well, securitization is basically when the banks sell the debt to the world market, right? So, bottom line is that if the bank sold the debt and we can find a way that we can get ourselves in a power position when negotiating, such as asking them to prove they own the debt, and they're legally obligated to prove they own the debt. And proof of ownership of the debt is a sworn affidavit by a chartered accountant stating that he looked into the ledgers, and it's and the debt still appears there, right? So okay. I don't know, like all this stuff I'm saying to you right now, does this all make sense to you?
Yeah, a little bit. Like I know not just banks, but like a lot of credit card companies and stuff that I know they sell their debt to collection agencies and all that. So it's all like
absolutely. But just to make sure that we're talking about the same thing, we're not talking about selling debts and that are already delinquent. We're not talking about the bank selling those debts. We're talking about the bank selling debt that is not delinquent. Like 4 days later, they sell the debt, and it's called securitization, right? So I mean, okay. You're right. They do sell debt. That's gone delinquent, but the kind of debt we're talking about is definitely securitization. They sell the debt to the world market and they don't tell anybody. And the interesting thing about it is that there's, the banks these days are charging more than private lenders, right? Like when you take a look at places like Money Mart, Easy Financial, Fairstone, these kind of places, they're literally, and even if you take a look at the bank's credit cards, right? Yeah. The bank credit cards are 21% compounded interest, man, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you see, private lenders are making a big move back to the industry. Like people are starting to use them again, because they've realized the banks are just screwing everybody, right? So, that's kind of what we do here. So, I mean, the main thing you have to understand here, because I'm going to send you some videos, right? But the main thing you have to understand here is that the main premise is that if the banks are selling the debt and not telling us, right, well, then there's a huge opportunity there to make some money. Because you see, do you remember back in 2008, there was a big crash? I don't know how old you are, but you remember in 2008, there's a big crash? Okay. So you see, the banks, the reason that big crash happened was because the banks admittedly were selling the debt irresponsibly to the world market. That's what they said. They even made a big movie out of it called The Big Short, right? But anyways, bottom line is that after 2008 to 2011, private lenders like myself, I mean, I've been in the industry for 29 years. We weren't asking the bank for any kind of proof of ownership of the debt prior to 2008. I mean, the bank was God as far as we were concerned, right? You don't ask them questions, right? But now after 2011, after them, admitting that they've been selling the debt irresponsibly to the world market and all this kind of stuff, we started asking for proof of ownership of the debt from the banks every time that we had to pay them out. And surprise, surprise, they cannot prove they own the debt any longer. So from 2011 to 2013, myself and some partners and friends and family, we took care of all their debt. In a sense of asking them and challenging it. But then in 2013, we started offering it as a as a service to the Canadian people. And it's been going really, really good from there, because bottom line is everybody should know that the banks are selling our debts, and how to do the transaction correctly is by asking for proof of ownership of the debt. But either way, what that all equates to is that we're able to take people. I mean, we advertise and all the rest of it, and they answer our advertising, and before you know it, they're saying to us, yes, I'll sign the contract under these conditions that you can reduce it by 25% and without it affecting my credit, in better terms of payments, and lower payments and lower interest rates and these type of things, right? And how we go about doing that again is by simply, once they sign the contract with us, we go to the banks. They understand that we have a contract now, so contract law applies, right? So we are an affected party now because we have a mutual client, and they have to answer our questions. And one of our questions is that, do you still own the debt? And you'd be amazed on all the stuff that they come up with. And keep in mind, we actually have a YouTube channel that has us speaking to creditors, so people can hear us speaking to them and all that kind of stuff, right? So, really what it comes down to is you do need money to get into this if you're gonna be an investor. But there are opportunities if you understand it well enough that we're growing pretty quickly, so we do look for salespeople sometimes throughout these the phone calls.
So to simplify things for me, so how would I make money off this? Like, explain to me. Like,
okay, well, good question. So you see, now depending if so if you just want to be a passive investor, right? That means you just buy the debt and you keep it long term. And I mean, keep in mind, I just did one. I picked up the debt for $2,500, but it was a $20,000 debt, and then I sold it for $10,000. I made $7,500 within like 3 weeks, and before you knew it, the guy I sold it to, he was happy because he bought a $20,000 debt for $10,000, and it paid out $27,000 in 3 years, right? Because he gets payments over that time. You have to include the interest in, right? So how you fit into any of that scenario would be, well, if you just want to buy debt, well, you'd be buying a debt for $10,000 that's worth 20, right? If you want to come and work with us and that type of thing to own a part of the bit, like to have a business pod, it actually costs $110,000, which we do finance. But we, some of those business pod owners, they're looking for just salespeople, right? And with salespeople, they make some good money. They make like $500 every contract they sign, and they make 50% of the gross profit when we sell the debt, right? Okay. So depending where you're in, if you're saying, well, geez, I have a whole lot of money, and I like the fact of earning 42% on my money, right? Well then great. That's one way you would go with it. But if you're an individual who is just looking to purchase a business and get involved and invest your time and energy, well, then you can buy the pod. But if you're just a guy looking for, if you're looking for a sales position or whatever, I could probably put my feelers out there for, the guys who bought pods, and some of them will definitely hire you based on commission payment, right? 100% commission. So, that's kind of all the things that we kind of offer. So you tell me, how do you think you would fit in then?
Yeah, sorry. So it's just some things that are unclear to me. So you said you buy the debt from the banks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then who do you sell it to?
Okay, so basically we sell it to, because we're always advertising debts for sale and these type of things, right? So what happens is we sign the contract with the lender, with the borrower, sorry. When we sign the contract with the borrower, what we're doing is taking that contract, going to the bank, executing that contract, and if the bank cannot prove they own the debt anymore, the contract we sell is the one that the individual signed with us, right? And so at the end of it, what we do is we put out advertisements such as, debt for sale, come check out the debt, buying and selling debt industry. And before you know it, people phone, and then you show them the contract that, you show them the contract that you have for sale, or all the contracts you have for sale. And then before you know it, they go, oh, I see what you're saying here. I can get a good investment, a good return. I'm in. Now, keep in mind, with these investments, they are there's an assurance fund. So you pay $20 a month, and any of your contracts go delinquent, we replace for you. And delinquent is 3 months in arrears. If it goes 3 months in arrears, that is defined delinquent, and we would take that contract back and replace it with another one that's up to date. Okay, so I mean, it's a really interesting situation, because in order to go about and offer that type of assurance program, the reason being is because the banks just cannot prove they own the debt. And keep in mind, we get a lot of contracts because, you know, there's a lot of people that are in debt. So finding another contract is never a problem. And then keep in mind, the ones we take back from you guys, most of them are up to date within, 3 months after you guys given it to us. And then we just resell the debt. And of course, if they aren't going to pay, well then, we have our little lawyer contacts that they go and take care of that stuff. Right. So, that's kind of how the assurance fund works. The fact is we're getting so many contracts because there's so many people, that are getting, really screwed by the banks with their interest rates these days, that it's easy for us to replace, any kind of delinquent contract. So most investments that you go out and take a look at, they don't have anything like that, right? So, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, what I should probably do here, what I should do is send you some videos, right? And then you can decide from there kind of where you fit in. But, just give me an idea here. Like, were you looking to purchase a business, or were you looking for a job? Some people get it mixed up.
I was looking for a little bit of both to see if it makes sense to go into the...
Okay, so you're looking more like a commission sales position, kind of. No, like, I mean,
not a commission. No, I wouldn't really be interested in commission-based employment. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So, I mean, I think I'll send you the videos, and then you see if that makes sense to you. Okay. I'll catch you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Jason. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Hi, Reyes. How you doing today?
I'm good.
Excellent. Okay, so you called regarding a DG ad that said financing business for sale, learned how to buy and sell debt.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, what caught you about that ad? Like, I mean, bottom line is that, do you have any experience in finance? And if you don't, no big deal. I can start. I just want to know where I should start from. So, how much experience do you have with?
Not much.
No problem.
I have done a course of mortgage a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
I could not proceed with that.
No worries. But did you complete the mortgage broker course?
Yeah, I have completed it.
Good.
But at that time, I was working full time, so I could start it.
Okay. So, Reyes, you're looking to purchase a business, right? Or are you looking for a job?
I want to do something freelance.
Freelance.
Yeah,
okay.
Like business, but or job, but not commitment with the times, on my own time.
Okay, well here, right? You would like to really participate. You would need like at least $100,000.
Okay.
So do you have $100,000? Like, not that I'm, obviously, it's just that I'm trying to figure out where you are coming from. Are you looking for a job, or are you looking to buy a business? Because this is to buy a business. And okay. So, I mean, how much money are you working with? Like,
I can arrange this much money.
Oh, okay, perfect. That's what all I need. Okay, well then, basically, our system is pretty interesting. Okay, the main premise you need to understand, Reyes, is that the banks are selling your debt and Canadians and not telling them. Are you aware that banks are selling debt? Are you aware of that fact, that they take our contracts that we sign with them and they sell them to the world market, and it's a process called securitization? Have you ever heard about the bank selling debt?
No.
Okay. Well, let me tell you something. In 2008, there was a big world crash, right? And the reason it happened is the bank admittedly said that, yeah, we were selling that debt irresponsibly to the world market.
Okay.
So they sell debt. Okay. So now, after that time span, about 2011, many private lenders like myself, because I've been doing this for 29 years. So prior to 2008, we never asked the bank for anything, right? Because they were the almighty as far as we were concerned, right? We didn't ask them anything. So by 2011, when the world crash happened and they admitted that they're selling the debts, we started thinking to ourselves, maybe we should ask them if they own the debt before we start paying out their debts in debt consolidation files or whatever. So we started asking them, do you have proof of ownership of the debt? Because of course, you know, you need to prove that you own the debt in order to collect, right? And before that, they didn't have the money, or sorry, they didn't have proof of ownership of the debt. They could not prove they own the debt any longer. You know why? Is because they sold it. So I'll bring you through a situation. Let's say you go to the bank, and you sign a $20,000 loan. Now you sign it, you give it to them, and the paperwork, and now they take it and sell it, and they receive money. If you sell something, right? You receive money. So now they have their money. Now let's say you win the lottery, and 3 months later you walk in and give them $20,000 without having proper paperwork, right? They just got paid twice, because they received the money from you and they also received the money from selling the debt, but you didn't know they sold the debt, so then you just walked off, right? And this is happening more than you believe. So at the end of it, if you can understand what I just said to you, then this is a really good you know, opportunity, freelance thing, as you're saying, to get, all right? Because, so you do understand that if the bank sold the debt, what that does now is it allows us to be in a power position. So you see, we market our, you know, our service to the borrowers through reducemydebtbythousands.com. So I'm going to be sending you all these links, okay? But we market through reducemydebtbythousands.com, and what we market is reduce your debt by 25% without it affecting your credit, right? I see. And that better rates and better payment. So you see, what happens is that the I mean, there's so many people in debt these days, right? There's so many. So you see, what happens is that a lot of people call, and it's a huge marketplace these days. So we're getting a lot of leads, and before you know it, a lot of them say, okay, well, you know, I mean, I just spoke to one. They're paying $800 a month for the last 3 years, interest-only payments, right? That's right. So I mean, when we get talking to them and explain to them how we can get you out of that situation, what happens is that they sign a contract with us under certain conditions, right? And so now we have that contract. Now you see, contract law comes into play now, because we have contract with that borrower, and now we are affected parties, and we're now going to go and pay out the bank. Right?
I see.
As the borrower and the lender together go and say, hi there, here's the money for you to collect. We just need proof of ownership of the debt, and you can take the money, right? So you see, when they can't prove that, what happens is that we get to negotiate from a power position. And I'll give you a good example. I just did one. $20 debt I bought for $2,500, sold it for $10,000, right? So I made $7,500, but I sold it to the guy. The guy I sold it to was happy because he bought a $20,000 debt for $10,000 that paid out $27,000 in 3 years. So he just made $10,000 into $27,000, and that's in 3 years, which is an amazing investment, passive income than you can ever imagine, right? So this is how we make it all come together. We have the borrowers who are asking for our help. We sign a contract with them under certain conditions. Then we have every right to go to the bank and ask these questions, right?
Right. Right.
So now there's some ways to get involved in this. One is just to buy the debt and just be a passive guy, and you just collect your payments every month, right? Now the step is that you want to invest your time and energy and your money, right, to make more.
Yeah.
So you see, what we've done is this, Riaz. We will. It is $150,000, right?
Yeah.
But that money goes into debt that you purchase, and it will always be yours. So if it doesn't work out here, no big deal, because you still own your debt, right? And just so your debt that you would be owning would be you can be placed into an insurance fund. You pay $20 a month, and what happens is if your debt goes delinquent that we set you up with, we will back, and delinquent is 3 months missed payments, right? If it goes delinquent, we will now take it back and replace it with one that is current and paying, and that way we have to do the collecting, and you don't care. You've gotten back a good deal, and that deal includes your 3 months payments back, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a really interesting thing. So, and that's only that's only $20, for a contract, right? To assure it that way, and it's a really good investment. So you see, that's how we would go about getting you involved. Is you would say, okay, well, of course, what happens here, Riaz, is that if I was going to sell you a gas station or whatever, I'd say to you, come and sit with me for a while, meet the customers, meet the employees, meet the part-time employees, see how everybody's treating everybody. Then, come back in the back and, you'll meet the suppliers or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's what we can do here. We're going to, I can set you up with a spreadsheet, right?
Okay.
I'll send you some videos to look at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's, I'll send you a kind of like a training video, and you'll be able to see how it works. And then as time goes on, right, we are going to say to each other, okay, well, either you want to do this or not, and it's time to buy your first debt, right?
Okay.
Or just, you're not interested, and that's fine too, right? But we do realize that there is like an introduction period where you have to get all the facts and information in order to make a, informed decision if you want to continue on. And we understand that, and we're excited to give that time to you. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you some videos, and watch watch the video, and then once you watch it, let me know that you watched it, and then I'll bring you on to the next step. Alrighty.
Okay. Thank you.
Questions at this point, or?
No.
Oh, okay. Perfect, Raz. I'll send you the information, and then we'll take it from there.
Do you have my email?
I'm just going to text it to you if that's okay. But you can send me your email also. That would be helpful, because I do need your. And do you have a Gmail? Do you have a Gmail account?
Yes.
Email. You have a Gmail. Okay, good. Because we're going to be sharing Google Docs with you.
Yeah.
And Google Docs, definitely you need to have a Gmail account to get all hooked up with it. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I will text you.
You have a great day. I'm going to text you the information, and then you can get started taking a look at it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
So, hello. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, I don't care. Yeah, now I can. Yeah, no, but you called regarding a finance business for sale. Learn how to buy and sell debt, kind of thing, right? Yeah. So do you have a lot of experience in finance, just so I know where to start in the conversation, right?
Yeah. So I actually invest.
Oh, good.
A little bit in debt, but I've never bought and sold it. It's more just so I've lent.
Okay.
Money.
No. When you say you invest in debt, you mean like you lend people money? You've been a lender at times?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So
I haven't done any of that.
Okay, well, here, I think you'll enjoy this then, because, the main premise that we use here, that everybody has to understand, is the fact that the banks are selling our debt and not telling anybody, right? So I'll bring you through a scenario here. So if the bank signs a $20,000 contract with you, right? Or sorry, you sign a contract with the bank, and they take that contract, and 4 days later, they can sell it to the world market through a process called securitization, right? Now, if we follow this through a little bit further, let's say that you win the lottery in 3 months, and you come to the bank and just hand them the money because you don't know how to do the transaction correctly, like most Canadians, right? They just hand over the money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you see, in that situation, the bank just got paid twice because they took the debt, sold it, collected money. When you sell an asset, you collect money. And then you came and gave them the $20,000, no questions asked, and they got paid twice. And this is happening a lot these days, right? Now the reason we know this is happening is because back in 2008, there was that big crash, right?
Yep.
So the banks admittedly said that, well, we were selling debt irresponsibly to the world market, and that's why it happened, right? This is what the problems were. They even made a big movie out of it. It was called The Big Short, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of it, what happened is that, I've been doing this for 29 years, like in finance. So prior to 2008, we never asked any questions of the bank. They were God as far as we were concerned. But after 2008, we started realizing, wow, they're selling the debt and telling everybody. By 2011, we started asking the bank for proof of ownership of the debt because we have every right to. We're private lenders. We're handing over our hard-earned money, and we want to do our due diligence, and we're asking for proof of ownership of the debt, and they should have it. And just so you know, proof of ownership of the debt is, and this is the Canadian Rules of Court, states that it's a sworn affidavit by a chartered accountant stating that he looked into the ledgers and the debts still appear in the ledgers. They were not sold. Very simple, right? All these banks have many accountants. So, it's a very reasonable request. So at the end of it, what happened is that none of these banks, so from 2011 to 2013, we did our own debts and friends and families. Mm-hmm. And by 2013, we were offering it as a service to the Canadian people, right? So you see, the service to the Canadian people states that we can reduce your debt by 25% without it affecting your credit, right? And of course, better rates and better payments and these type of things. So you see, there's a lot of people who call these ads, right? Because when you put something out there, there's so much, we're in the highest debt, like per Canadian, ever in history.
Ever, yeah. That's really
bad. Ever. You can't throw a rock in any general direction without hitting somebody in debt, right? So you see, this is a great market to get into because it's a growing market. So you see, what we've done now is we've told people, okay, guys, under these circumstances, under these conditions, you've answered our ad and you sign off on these conditions and you're happy with them. And if we can go and reduce your debt, you're okay with that. So you see, what happens is that we're letting them know that you're going to come with us. We have a contract now. We go to the bank and we say to the bank, okay, guys, we have a contract. We have a mutual client. We're now an affected party. And we're asking for proof of ownership of the debt, right? And now you see, when the borrower and the lender ask together, it's a very powerful thing. So what ends up happening is that, I'll give you a good example. Just last week, there was one that we did, just completed. We bought the debt for $2,500. It was $20,000, right? And we bought it for $2,500. And then we sold it to somebody for $10,000, made $7,500 in weeks. And at the end of it, the guy who we sold it to is very happy because he bought a debt that's $20,000 for $10,000 and it paid out $27,000 in 3 years. Because
of interest, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's a huge returns, right? So you see, when you do this correctly, it works out really well for everybody. It's a win-win-win situation. You see, since 1974 was the first time they ever securitized debt, in 1974. So you see, all of that time from 1974 to now, there's been so much information that comes out through the internet, right? That now there's many people who are aware of that, obviously, of securitization. I don't know if you've ever heard of that term before, but it is just a fancy word for selling debt to the world market. The banks sell debt to the world market. It's called securitization. So either way, how we go about this is that now we also have an assurance fund, right? So any lender that comes in, investor that buys these debts, all they need to do is put $20. They pay $20 a month. They're in an assurance fund that states this: if your debt goes delinquent, and delinquent is defined as 3 months of payments missed, we will replace that contract with one that is up to date, right? Because we get so many contracts, it's easier for us to just go, okay, well, that guy didn't pay for 3 months. Here, give it back to us. We'll take care of the collections, and you take this other one, right? And that just costs you $20 a month. And at the end of it, keep in mind, we always go back, and 90% of the times people want to pay their bills, but something happened, right? They got into an accident, whatever, divorce, whatever, right? And so you see, because we bought the debt so low at $2,500, we can tell them, yeah, we'll wait for 6 months and then everything will be better. And then, and then you're going to have to pay it again. And before you know it, we just take it once it's being paid again and sell it again, which is fine, right? Because it's a legitimate cash flow. So, I'm going to I'll send you some links and send you some videos and stuff like that to really understand it a little bit further. But I mean, that's the main thing you have to understand at this point, is that our main premise that we work upon is that the banks are selling our debt and not telling us. And it even says it right in their contracts. In their contracts, it says that we can sell your debt without your consent. It says it right in the contracts. Mm-hmm. So, so we've got a pretty thing. So how we've gone about doing this is that, of course, there's different ways to go into this. If you want to invest your time and energy and buy into a business, there's a way to do that too. Or you can just buy and sell, or you can just buy the debt, buy good debt and have a good long-term investment, right? Because if you can make $10,000 into 27 grand, right? Over 3 years, that's obviously a good long-term investment, right? So,
so really it's, so you guys created a system that allows people to be able to do this. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we advertise it to reducemydebtbythousands.com. But I'm going to send you all this stuff, right?
Okay.
People, right? To the Canadian people who need debt help. And then, I also run a blog, and people said that it's probably the best blog they've ever seen on the internet regarding the information, such as the bank selling the debt and how it affects the people, right? And so, I also have a YouTube channel that talks about this stuff too, right? That I'll share with you. Sweet. So yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff, man. Like, I've been doing this type of stuff, like I said, I've been in finance for 29 years, but I've been in business for probably like 34 years. And out of all the time, all the business models I've ever seen, this one takes the cake. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, because you're not just, from what I understand, you're not just technically lending money, right? Mm-hmm. Creating debt for someone, and then they're just paying you back in interest, and you make extra, good return. Like in some cases, I can make as much as 30% return. This is like you're making that return, but you're also, but you're probably making a couple 100% return on top of that, because what you're doing is you're buying the debt for cheaper, but they still have to pay the full amount back. Is that kind of what you mean?
Well, yeah, because we're buying. Here's the deal that we have with everybody. We let them know that, look, if you have a $40,000 debt, we will guarantee that 25% of it will come off. All right, and this is without affecting your credit, with better payments and everything else. So you see, if we do.
So the consumer, the client,
yeah,
they're signing something with you to just drop their debt.
Well, yeah. They're signing a promissory note that says that we're going to go. There's 40 grand. We're going to give you a 25% discount. That brings it to 30. So we tell them that anything below 30, we get paid. So they don't pay us up front. We get paid because if we buy it now for $20,000, we just made 10 grand. And so they go, oh, okay, I understand that. Because what happens is that they're saying that I'm going to pay back $30,000 under these conditions that you go together with me, and we challenge the bank. We ask them for proof of ownership of the debt. We ask them for documentation that they're legally obligated to produce. And before you know it, when we do that together, right, it's a powerful thing happens. They're going to have to negotiate with us, and we're negotiating now from a power position. It's not that we don't have the money to give them. They don't have the proper documentation to collect, right?
So they're going to come back and be like, okay, well, we'll lower the amount.
That's right. Then we're going to say to them, okay, guys, here, I mean, you can be collecting anything, but here we'll pay this amount out. But you see, what the banks do is that they will now go, you know what, here, let a collector deal with it. And now the collectors sell it to us even cheaper, right? Because they're collectors, and the only condition we have on there is that if you're going to collect on this debt, Mr. Collector, you've got to remove it from the credit bureau because it wasn't supposed to be there in the first place, because your client cannot prove they own the debt. And therefore, if you're collecting for a client that doesn't own the debt anymore, you can't prove they own the debt. That's a big problem. And so you see the collectors go, oh my God, you're right, because we did not ask them if they owned the debt, and but they could have sold it. And before you know it, for them to get paid, because the collectors want to get paid, right? To remove something from the credit due to that fact, when done properly, that's the art, right? And how to get.
So how often do you go to the bank and the bank just gives you the documents and they hold the debt? Is it often at all?
Up to this point in the last, 11 years, none of them can prove they own the debt. Not one of them can get a chartered accountant. Not one of them can get a chartered accountant to sign a document stating that they did not sell the debt. And so you see what happens. Even if you really think about this a little bit further, right? We're right now doing unsecured debt, right? That's unsecured. I mean, if you take this premise to mortgages, right? That's a whole other world, because that's hundreds of thousands of dollars now you're negotiating, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, as of right now, let's just stick with secured debt, which is just credit card debt. It works so beautifully when you know what to say to them and how to say it and everything else. So, here's another thing is that you can buy a business pod with us, and we do finance this, but it's $110,000. And what ends up happening is that $110,000 goes into debt. You buy $110,000 of debt over time, right? And you see now, if things don't work out with you here, you still have the debt, right? So you don't lose anything, right? Because I mean, I've been around a long time, man, and I've seen many people go and put $600,000 into a business, let's say a liquor mart. They've never ran a liquor mart before. And I mean, they run it into the ground and they lose their $600,000, right?
Yeah, they lose their investment.
What we do with our situation is we'll basically say to you guys, look, if any money that you're coming in and buying into this, we're going to be saying that you're just going to have to buy some debt, right? Because if anything happens, at least you have the debt still. It's still an asset, right? And we do treat you just like everybody else. If your debt goes delinquent, you pay your $20 a month, we'll just replace it with another one, right? And so it's a really fair system that we created for everybody involved, and really the only entity that is really the bank, right? It's the bank. That's where being able to ask the bank for proof of ownership of the debt, and them supposed to be having it, and they cannot produce it. Well, that's where all these wonderful benefits come for everybody. For everybody. So the lender, the borrower, us, the guys who are in the middle, who one day you might be too, or you might be interested. You sound like you'd really fit in with it, just the way you're handling this conversation, right? So, it's a really, really interesting thing. But I think at this point right now, what I need to do is send you some information, and for you to look over and mull it over a little bit. And then we'll have another conversation, and I'm sure but I mean, it's really easy to get started, right? All we do, I mean, there's two ways to go about this. We do supply leads, right?
Yep.
But you also would be wanting to generate your own leads too, because you're looking at this as a business, right? So of course, our thing is business marketing. A marketing guy here who knows how to get all your stuff up on YouTube and everything, right? So there's ways that you can actually you invest like $300 a month into advertising. Before you know it, if it pays off $1,500, right? And I should tell you how you make some money. Is that when somebody signs a contract, which is a free service, right? It's $500. So the lenders are willing to pay $500 for that, just for signing the contract with them. But then when we sell the contract, right, we make 50% of the gross.
Okay.
So now sometimes that's $3,500, right? Sometimes they make $7,000 and we get $3,500 of it, right? And that's for, I mean, some guys are Mercedes Benzes and are only making $800 a pop off of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like brand new Mercedes Benzes. So us being able to buy and sell debt and do it in this really neat way, and earn commissions in the thousands of dollars on each one. I mean, it's working for everybody involved. And again, the reason it's working is because we're asking the bank for proof of ownership of the debt, and they can't come up with it. And that's where all this extra benefits and money comes from, right?
So how quick is that usually? So you get the client to sign the promissory note or whatever, and you go to the bank.
Yeah, we do it. You see
how quickly does the bank get back to you to tell you, like, what's the turnaround on a client like that?
Oh, it doesn't matter what the bank says, because the board starts paying us right away, right? Because we have the money in an account waiting to be, we have it there for them, and it's in an account, and it's ready for them to take. All they need to do is prove they still own the debt. So the funds are there, and for them to collect, they just have to prove they own the debt. So they have officially paid off the bank because they have money in the account waiting for them, right? So now at that point, whatever the bank does from that point of view, I mean, it's really about us just nursing the fact to them that, you guys, you need to prove you own the debt. We're private lenders. And as time goes on, I mean, they're really nice people that work at the bank, to be honest with you, right? As time goes on, they get it to a certain level of the bank, and then the bank just sends it to a collector, and then we go to the collector, who's now easier to deal with for sure, right? He wants to get paid. We let him know that, hey, we get paid.
Done.
Sorry, go ahead.
They want to get paid and get it done, so they're going to move a lot faster.
So it all, it all really, makes sense. And like I said, I've been doing this for a while, and this is the best business model that I've seen. But yeah, I should probably.
Yes, send me the stuff. That's really interesting.
Yeah, awesome.
I've always been more interested in investing in debt than in the stock market. Like I can lend money at like 15 or 20% guaranteed. You still get as long as I underwrite it properly and understand,
when you're doing your loans, your personal ones, how many have you done?
Oh, I don't know. Personally, I've done like 25, but I used to have like a loan. I used to work with a loan company in the States. Right. And so I would underwrite a lot of the policies. Okay, but I mean, did you have it secured all the time? Was it secured? Like, was it like, do you have a house and I'm lending you money on the house? I'm putting a lien. No, that actually, I would love to get into that, to be honest. But no, this is 100% unsecured. It always has been. Oh, okay. So you got to, they can definitely go delinquent, but I've always wanted to get into, lend the money for the vehicle or the car, and if they don't pay, then I get the asset, kind of thing. Okay. I know we do that too. We know how to do all that stuff. It's kind of interesting because even with vehicles, when we're dealing with them, it's really interesting how that part works. I'll tell you what, that's a whole other conversation. I'm going to get you the information. Sure. And I also have a deal you should look at then. I'm going to send you a deal. It's about, this one is, I think, $15,000. So it's not a big investment, but I mean, it pays out, I think, like 20. You know what? Let me get it to you so I don't start quoting any numbers that I'm not positive about. Sure. I'll also send that to you, and then we'll have a chat over the next couple of days or whatever. And if you have any questions, man, this is my direct line, so you can text me or call me. I'll definitely you're definitely worth the time. I'll call you back and keep you going forward if you're interested. Sure. No, that would be great. Yeah, if you want to send that over, that'd be awesome. Okay, David. You have a great day. I'm going to send it to you right away. Yeah, you too. Thanks. All right. Bye-bye. Bye.